सुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वदी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि. I welcome you all with my love and respect. The subject for today's discourse is from Buddha to Buddha. I'm giving a series of discourse on Patanjali, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Today we'll be dealing the subject of Satya. The Yama. Patanjali, greatest spiritual scientist, the person is responsible for the yoga philosophy. He is the founder and is the person who created the whole yoga system. In his sutras, in his aphorisms, he explains different levels or parts of yoga. The 8 steps. The first step is Yama, in which he speaks about 5 subjects: Ahimsa, Brahmacharya, Satya, Asteya and Aparigraha. Today we will be dealing the one subject, Satya. Satya, according to Patanjali, is multidimensional. It is not only related to the words which we speak. Speaking the truth is one dimension of Satya. Thinking the truth and living the truth. These are the 3 different dimensions of Satya. Being truthful in thinking and in words and in body language. Again and again, Vedanta says, you create what you want. It is you who is the creator of your whole world. Nobody else puts you into the suffering. It is you who create suffering, or it is you who create bliss. Again and again, we also question, if it is we who are creator of our world, why do we create suffering? The main reason for our suffering is either consciously or unconsciously we are not true to our being. We neither think the way of truth or speak the truth or live the truth in our life. Let us analyze a little deeply how our life has become far away from Satya, far away from truth. First thing, when somebody speaks, you never believe that person because we don't speak truth. Whenever people speak, see what is happening inside your mind. You are sitting there judging, you are not listening. You don't allow all the words to penetrate you. You just sit. As long as he speaks what you want, things go well. The moment he speaks which you can't understand or which is against your vested interests, which is against your conclusions, you stop believing. Either you ask him to stop. If at all you can't ask him, out of politeness, you keep quiet, but you don't allow those words to penetrate you. Out of social courtesy, you remain silent, but you don't allow these words to work on you. You don't allow these words to penetrate you. The reason is because we are not continuously expressing the truth. We expect or we desire the other person is also not expressing the truth. One more thing. If we are the creators of our world, why do we create suffering? Why do we create pain? Why do we create so many problems in our life? Continuously you create self-contradicting statements, self-contradicting desires, and give life to it. In a deeper level, you are God. First, you should understand whether you believe it or not, accept it or not, realize it or not, the truth is you are God. You have two choices. One, you can experience, realize and live the life blissfully, or you can again and again struggle, contradict and make your life hell. Only these two are choice. You are God or not is not a question. Whether you realize it or not, that is the only thing. The choice is yours. It is you who is supposed to decide. Some fish swim along the current, some against the current, but both are in the water. So, whether you realize it or not, you are God. You are divine. When you create self-contradicting statements within yourself and give life to it, you create so many troubles for yourself. When Patanjali says thinking Satya, he means straightening all your thoughts. As on now, all our thoughts are self-contradicting. For example, you have a disease. You wanted to cure it. Again and again you create a thought, I should get rid of this disease. I should get rid of this disease. The more you create this thought, you will never be able to get rid of the disease. The problem is, whenever you create that thought, I should get rid of this disease, you give power to the word disease. You bring the memory of disease again and again and implant in your being. You implant that word in your being. The negative words or the negative feelings, negative ideas implanted in your being can create only more trouble, more difficulty to your being. When Patanjali says, thinking Satya or Manasa Satya, he means straighten these self-contradicting words. If you think again and again, I should get rid of this disease, I should get rid of this disease, I should get rid of this disease, you will only fall more into the disease. Because you are giving power to the concept disease. Instead of that, if you use the words, let me become healthy, let me become healthy, you bring the concept of health to your mind again and again. Again and again the idea of health is brought to the mind and it gets the power. Please understand these three things. First, you are the creator of your own world. Next, even if you don't believe, you are God and you are energy, your consciousness. Third, why do we create our own suffering or misery? Because we give power to the self-contradicting thoughts. It is self-contradicting thoughts. Again and again when they are repeated, when they are given power, they become so solid. We call in Sanskrit samskara. Patanjali calls it as samskara. In terms of psychology, they call it engrams. When the samskaras get power, they become reality. They become reality. As on now, our samskaras are mithya, not satya. So you may speak only the facts, but don't think you live according to satya. No. A person who just speaks truth verbally is not totally in satya, is not established in satya. The very important thing which you should understand, in course of time, we started thinking satya means only speaking the facts. You can speak facts and you can be saying a lie. Please understand, you can speak facts and you can be a liar. How? There's a beautiful story in Mahabharata, the greatest story ever told on the planet Earth is Mahabharata. In that, Krishna wants to depress Dronacharya. Drona is very much attached to his son Aswathama. If somebody gives information that Aswathama has died in the war, Dronacharya can be depressed. And naturally, he will lose all the interest to fight. He can be killed. But who should inform Dronacharya? We should get a right person on whom Dronacharya has trust. Dharma is the right person because Dharmaraja is trusted by everybody. Everybody trusts Dharmaraja that he always speaks the truth. Krishna chose Dharmaraja and requested, Dharma, go and say, Aswathama has died. Dharma said, no, I cannot say a lie. It's a lie. Krishna said, don't worry, I'll kill an elephant. Its name is Aswathama. We will kill the elephant. Bhima is asked to kill an elephant whose name is Aswathama. Now Dharma is asked, now you say, Aswathama has died. Of course, Dharma uttered the word, Aswathama has died. If you see, it almost looks like fact. It is fact, but it is not truth. It is fact, but it is not truth. The story goes, the moment Dharmaraja uttered the word, Aswathama has died, and Dronacharya understood that his son has died, the moment this incident happened, the Dharmaraja came down to planet Earth. The Dharmaraja is said to walk on the air. I don't know whether it is a truth or just a mythological expression, maybe a metaphysical expression. When a person is blissful, when a person is in high spiritual ecstasy, he feels so light. Maybe that is what is explained in a metaphysical way, that he was always in a higher planes. The moment this incident happened, the moment he said that Aswathama died and gave the wrong message to Dronacharya, the story says he came down. He became a normal human being. It is fact. Actually, Dharmaraja did not tell any lie. It's a fact, but it is not truth. You can be factual and a liar. This is the incident. This is the proof. An example, Dharmaraja is factual, but a liar. Of course, even though it is very difficult to accept, it is truth. He is a liar. In body language, he told a lie. We can justify with thousands of reasons, nothing wrong. We can always justify that, oh, Kauravas did so many mistakes, he has to win in the war, he has to establish dharma, it is Krishna's order, God himself said. We can justify, all these things are okay. But whatever happened is happened. It's happened. Being truthful means something more than being factual. The first step, straightening your inner chattering, straightening your words. People come and ask me, Swamiji, when enlightened masters say something, it simply becomes reality. When ordinary people say, why it never becomes reality? The master's words is completely satya in their thinking level, in their verbal level, in their body language. They live satya, they live the truth. Their words are straightened. They don't have self-contradicting samskaras. The self-contradicting samskaras sucks your energy. It leaves you totally dull. And you become almost dead being. Not only all your energy is taken away, and it creates more and more trouble for you because you give power to the self-contradicting thoughts. Understand this one example. When you want to get rid of a disease, the more you remember or more you think that I should get rid of this disease, I should get rid of this disease, you will be giving power to the idea disease. The words which you repeat inside yourself should be satya. It should not be self-contradicting. The samskaras which you create in yourself should be straight. It should not be crooked. It should not be self-contradicting. When you create these samskaras, I should get rid of this disease, you will be giving power to the disease. You will be giving power to the idea disease. Instead, if you can create a samskara, if you can create words like, let me become healthy, you create power, you give power to the word health or concept health. There is a beautiful story. One guy wants some special siddhis and powers. He goes to a Himalayan master and asks, Master, give me some mantra or a medicine through which I will get some special powers, special siddhis. See, when divine personalities, when spiritual beings express their siddhis, it is good for the whole society, humanity, and good for not only humanity, good for the whole universe. But these ordinary people, when they get some power, it always creates trouble for others and for them. So the master advises, no, work towards bhakti, not towards shakti. Don't work towards shakti, work towards bhakti. Try to have devotion, try to have jnana, try to work towards God. Don't ask for powers. But you know these human beings and their greed. Guru is Guru only as long as he does what you want. Be very clear. Never think you are followers. Most of the time we are leaders. Somebody goes to Ramana Maharshi, Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, and asks, Bhagavan, there are so many are following you. Why they don't become enlightened? Ramana Maharshi answers, who said they are followers? In the beginning when they come always as follower. But after some time, they start leading. The Guru is Guru or God as long as he fulfills all your desires. The moment he doesn't fulfill, for example, you ask for a job, he says, all right, he consoles you, you will have it, don't worry. If you get the job, he is Guru. Otherwise, he is not. Guru can be Guru, God can be God as long as he does your homework. As long as he does your homework. Most of us are only leaders. We are not followers. We will be there. We will call him as a Guru or God or whatever. Big words we will use as long as he dances according to our tune. Once he starts advising or guiding you, and the big problem is you create desires which will make your whole life mess. That's the problem. There's a beautiful saying from Saint Francis of Assisi, a great Christian enlightened master. He says, most of the time you create the desires which will be giving more trouble to you than what you understand. You know only the 120 degree of the life. Divine knows the 360 degree. Sometimes it fulfills your desires when it is good. Sometimes it says wait. But the difficulty is, we believe God has got Shakti, but we don't believe he has got Buddhi also. We believe he has got Shakti to give what we want, but we don't believe he has got Buddhi also when to give. We don't believe he has got Buddhi also when to give. And many times we become more solid, we become more strong when Divine doesn't fulfill our prayers. He makes you independent. He makes you more solid, sometimes by not answering your prayers. This guy, he was emphasizing the master, no, I want some Shaktis, give me something. Master tried his best, but this guy started tell me, you can't give any powers, I accept. But don't tell that you will not give me. Be very clear. Can you give or not? That's all. I don't want your advice. I want only what I want. That is what, in the early days, in those days, the spirituality was seller's market. Now it is buyer's market. Now it is buyer's market. Either you give, otherwise I will go to that guru. That's a buyer's market. So this guy went and asked the master, be very clear, can you give or not? The master said, all right, now what can be done? He gave one medicine, told him, drink this medicine, you will have the power which you want. Only one small condition, you should not remember the monkey before you drink this medicine. Don't remember the monkey before you drink this medicine. This guy said, what is there? That's okay, because I don't remember monkey all the time. But one doubt, if I remember, what should I do? Oh, then you have to take bath once more and drink. All right, he went to the house. The moment he picked up the bottle, I should not remember. Oh, I should not remember monkey. Oh, I remembered what to do now. Anyhow, I can go and take bath. Come back. He went, took bath, came back, picked up the bottle. Again, I should not remember. Oh, I remembered monkey. He put the bottle, ran to the bathroom, took bath, came back, and he picked up the bottle. Again, monkey. He ran, took bath. This time he decided, before I remember monkey, just let me run and drink that medicine. He took bath and ran. At the time of running itself, he remembered the monkey. Again, went to take bath. After half an hour, 1 hour, he is just running to bathroom to hall and bathroom to hall. Oh monkey, shouting. Monkey, from bathroom to hall and hall to bathroom. After 2-3 hours, when he is taking bath also, he started remembering monkey. His whole mind is filled with monkey. The problem is, he is creating a self-contradicting desire. I should not remember monkey. The very statement is self-contradicting. You remember the monkey. I should get rid of this disease. You remember the disease and you give power to the disease. Thinking Satya means straightening your thoughts, infusing awareness into your thinking, not giving power to the wrong samskaras, not allowing the wrong engrams to settle down into your unconsciousness. As on now, our thinking is not Satya, it is Mithya. Spend at least half an hour a day to straighten your thinking. You spend more than half an hour to take care of your body every day. Taking bath, dressing, makeup, food, so much. At least give half an hour to your mind. People again and again say, oh Swamiji, I don't have time to meditate. Never say you don't have time. Say clearly, I don't feel meditation is so important. Let us be very clear and honest, at least to ourselves. Everybody has got only 24 hours. It is priority. It's a question of priority. Just like you take care of your body, give at least half an hour to your mind. Straighten the statements which you are uttering to yourself, especially unconsciously. When you are walking, when you are brushing your teeth, when you are taking bath, when you are driving, you will be repeating lot of statements within yourself. You will be uttering many words within yourself, which I call samskaras. Give at least half an hour to yourself to straighten the samskaras. Make them straight towards Satya. Don't allow them to be Mithya or self-contradicting. The moment words are straightened, the thinking is straightened, you have entered into Satya. The first step towards Satya is achieved. Next, Satya through words. Again, a great enlightened master, Atmananda Saraswati, who commented on Patanjali, he explains this words through, the Satya through words. He explains Satya through words is again something more than speaking the facts. You must speak which gives peace and bliss for everybody. You can't speak arrogantly. You can't speak anything which creates anger or disturbance in others. You can't be violent. People ask me, no, Swamiji, if I speak the truth, people are hurt, what can I do? Be very clear. Whenever you are expressing the truth in a violent or arrogant way, you are expressing your ego, then the truth. The real truth can always be expressed in a polite, beautiful way. But when you want to express not only the truth, the idea that you are speaking the truth, then you become arrogant, violent. Then we wanted to establish, see, I am speaking the truth. See, I am a great Mahatma. Look, I am holier than you. When we wanted to express that idea, only then we became arrogant. Only then we became violent. Never say that you express the truth and somebody is hurt. It will be always a mixture of truth and Your idea that you are holier than others because you speak truth. It is always unconscious ego which mixes and comes out with truth, hurts others. The pure truth never hurts others. You will never be violent with the truth. One more thing, even if it hurts others, it will be like a doctor using a knife. It's only good for other person, like operation. It will only heal him and help him to live. Doctor using a knife and a killer using a knife is totally different. When you add your ego that you are holier than him, because you are speaking the truth, you use knife like a killer or a criminal, violent person, terrorist. If you really speak the truth without any ego, with a complete politeness and softness, even if the other person is hurt, it is like doctor using a knife. Next thing, an important step, living Satya through your life. This is a very important thing. You should understand what I mean by the word living the Satya through your life or the body. A small beautiful story. It is not even a story, incident happened in Albert Einstein's life. He was in the deathbed in his last moments. All his disciples, scientists were around him. One person asked him, "Sir, if God gives you one more Janma, what do you want to become? How you want to take birth? How you want to live?" The last phase of Einstein started believing reincarnation theory. He almost became like a rishi. In the last phase, Einstein had some of the mystical experiences, and he says very clearly, his theories are revelations, not logical conclusions. They are from intuition, not from intellect. And he says it took long time for me to connect my intuition and the intellect through logical steps. He started believing the reincarnation theory. So his disciples are asking, if God gives you one more life, what do you want to become? How you want to spend? Everybody expected different kinds of answers. One thought, he may tell that he wants to update his theory. Another one thought, maybe he wants to become a spiritual person. Each one had his own idea. Einstein replies, I wanted to become a plumber. People were shocked. Why? You are not happy with the scientist's life. You didn't feel fulfilled with the life which you lived. He says beautifully, I always wanted to be a plumber from the beginning. Somehow the social situation or my atmosphere or something, some situation, I fell in the hands of scientists and I started doing my rat race, running with them, running, comparing, and studying, doing research. See, the beauty in the rat race is, even if you win, you are a rat. Even if you win, you are a rat. This guy, he says, I ran. I forgot my life. Now I achieved whatever society can give me. Money, status, name and fame. Everything. I have achieved everything. But my life has become a big failure. I don't feel I have lived my life. I have lived my life. Person who feels he has not lived his life, his whole life has become a lie. If you feel that you lived your life, at the end of your life, even if you die in a platform, you will have a peaceful death. But if you feel you have not lived your life, at the end of your life, even if you are in a 5-star hospital, you will be pulling and pushing, fighting with death. You will not have the satisfaction that you have lived your life. Having the satisfaction, I lived my life, only will give you the courage to leave the world. Gita says beautifully, the last thought which you have at the time of death decides your next janma or your course of life. The last thought, if it is a fulfillment, I lived my life, enough, then naturally you will be liberated, enlightened. You will not have one more janma. The moksha or the ultimate liberation is achieved, then death is liberation and celebration. If you don't feel that you lived your life, then naturally you will be pulling and pushing, fighting with death. Your body will say, no, I am old, relax, I can't host you anymore. But your soul will say, no, I have so many desires to fulfill. I have not lived my life. I wanted to fulfill all these things. Let me live. The fight between your desires and the body will give you miserable death. And naturally, you will take one more body to fulfill all the unfulfilled desires. The way in which you wanted to live, but you have not lived. When Patanjali says, Satya through the life, through the body, he means live your life. Don't live somebody else's life. Mahavira says beautifully, Mahavir is one of the great enlightened master India produced. But unfortunately, we did not give so much of importance to Mahavir. That is why India is suffering so much. According to my experience, if Mahavir is respected, if Mahavir is followed, we will not have so much of suffering. Because Mahavira is one of the pure expressions of spirituality. Purest expressions of spirituality. He says, when you come down to planet Earth, whatever you want, the food or money, energy, health, whatever you want to live, to express your desires, you bring. Then why do we say, oh, I don't have enough health, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough life? Mahavir says, when you come down, you bring enough. God never sends you with empty hand. Mahavir says, God is so compassionate. He always sends everything you want. Almost like when a daughter is sent to the in-laws' house, she is given everything. From shoes to broomstick. Everything is given. It's an Indian tradition. Just like that, when you come down to planet Earth, everything is given to you. And Mahavir surely cannot say a lie. He's an enlightened person. Then why do we suffer? We always say, no, I'm running short of money, I'm running short of health, I'm running short of life, I'm running short of this, I'm running short of that. Why? Why do we say? Because after coming down, we accumulate others' desires. We don't leave only our desires. You take $10,000 and go to downtown New York, Manhattan, to purchase something. After going there, you meet some of your friends. You go around shopping with them and you purchase whatever they are purchasing for themselves. You also get inspired by them. You purchase all those things for you. Then finally you see there is no money to purchase what you want to purchase. There is no money to purchase what you wanted to have. Then you go for credit card. End up your life paying the mortgage over. Same thing we are doing in our life. After coming down, we accumulate desires from so many sources, from friends, relatives, neighbors. If a neighbor brings AC to his house, our house temperature will increase. We can't live without AC. You accumulate desires from all corners. When you collect others' desires and try to live through your life, naturally you run short of money, life, health, time, energy, and everything. When you live others' desires, your life becomes a lie. It is no more truth according to yourself. If you live what you want, if you live your desires, you will be living Satya. Living Satya means living the way in which you wanted, not somebody else wanted. Next question comes, how to find out which is our desire and which is others' desires imposed on us? Because now it is totally messed up. You have mixed everything. You have lost connection with your personality. You have lost touch with your core, with your being. We are no more connected to our being. We became almost a pseudo personality. You react as society wants you to. That's all. We lost the quality of acting. All we do is only reacting. Before we express ourselves, we calculate. Even before smiling, we see the next person, whether he smiles or not, whether he laughs or not. We confirm with him that if I laugh, it is okay. Will I not be considered as mad? We have a confirmation with the other person. And only when we feel we are accepted, we will be accepted, we express. Our life has become, our being has become pseudo-personality. We lost touch with our being. People ask me, Swamiji, how to find out which is our desire and which is desires imposed on us? Meditation. Meditate on all your desires. Infuse spirit, energy into your desires. Infusing spirit into your body, mind is what is spirituality. Infuse spirit means consciousness, energy, through meditation into your body and mind. Whatever is your desires will stay. Whatever desires imposed on you will automatically drop and die down. When you shake a tree, all the old leaves automatically fall. Green leaves stay with the tree. Same way, when you shake your body and mind through meditation, when you infuse energy and spirituality into your body mind, all the desires which is imposed on you drops and dies down. They die down. And your desires will become so solid, so strong, so active. So you will be totally centered on your desires. You will never have the complaint, my desires are not fulfilled. We have the complaints, my desires are not fulfilled, because our energy is totally distracted in so many desires and self-contradicting desires. When you infuse energy into your desires, into your body and mind, first thing, all the desires imposed on you, they die down. Next thing, your desires get strengthened, gets enough energy to express itself into reality, into the truth, into the world. When your desires expresses itself in the world as a reality, you have a deep satisfaction that you lived your life. They give you a deep fulfillment that you have lived your life. Satya in 3 levels. In the level of thinking, straightening your thoughts, removing the self-contradicting desires. In the verbal level, expressing it without ego, that you are holier than others. Expressing it without hurting others in a beautiful, compassionate, loving way. Third, living the truth means living your life instead of somebody else's life. Living your desires instead of desires which is imposed on you. Just remember these 3 things, this message you can take away to your home and live. When I say the truth through mind, in the thinking level, I mean straighten your thoughts. Don't allow self-contradicting thoughts within yourself. Let it become straight, positive. Second, truth through words. Let you speak truth in a blissful, beautiful, peaceful way, without the ego that you are holier than others, with pure compassion. Third, live your life. Don't live the desires which is imposed on you. Don't accumulate the desires just because somebody else is living that. Somebody else is having that. So, let you imbibe Satya in all the 3 levels of body, mind and spirit. Let the divine energy, let the God's grace, let the spiritual energy help us all to imbibe this Satya in body, mind and spirit level, in body, in mind and in the words. And let us all experience the Satya and reach the eternal bliss, Nityananda. Thank you. You see, when you live your life, you may not have all the comforts which you are having now, but you will have the deep satisfaction that you lived your life. And one thing to tell you honestly, this is my own experience, the persons who took the path in which they wanted to live, they are never failures. Because so much of energy, when it is directed towards one direction, with interest, they always excel in that field. They always achieve. You may not be you may not achieve that status, but you will surely achieve, at least for your social level.
Well, how can I fix it now? I cannot live that life.
Oh, now it is too late. At least allow
I still long for it, but
at least allow the next generation, so that let them not feel their life is disturbed. If you feel your life is already over, I think there is no such thing as over. You can bring even now. May not be 24 hours.
I enjoy watching.
At least that much you can bring, that's all. But one more thing. If you are already old, now you can't fix. If it has gone beyond your hands, understand this truth and at least see that your kids don't suffer what you suffered. At least let them live intensely what they want. And one more thing I tell you honestly, even the idea that you wanted to become a cricketer, Penetrate deeply. Is it your own or imposed on you? That you have to contemplate and find out. Most of the time,
Even now I feel.
one thing, most of the time, the media infuses ideas into our self and we forget it is imposed on us. By and by we start thinking it is our own. So make sure what you say is your own. Many times the media makes us forget what is our own and they just infuse into our system lot of things that we should take care.
Swami, you said Raman Maharshi said
Mm.
first they will be followers and afterwards they become the leaders.
Mm.
So what is a good way to be only followers instead of being a leaders?
Trusting that not only God has got Shakti, He has got Buddhi also. When you believe He has got Shakti, you enter into religion. When you believe He has got Buddhi, you enter into spirituality. You surrender. So, trusting that He has got Buddhi also is the best way to be always a follower instead of taking the leader seat. And one more thing, important thing, even if you become a leader, God will never follow you. Be very clear. That is why world is running so beautifully and peacefully. If we become leader and God follows us, we would have made the whole thing mess long ago. We would have created enough chaos long ago. First thing which we need to understand, not even a blade of grass moves without the divine grace. This statement comes out of a person who has become enlightened, who has become experienced. That is true for him, not for you. Be very clear. That is true for him, not for you. The second statement, you create your own destiny, is true for you and not for enlightened persons. Enlightened person is a person who has totally fallen in tune with the existence, who has become existence, who don't have any individuality. For him, the second statement is not true. The first statement is true. That not even a blade of grass, not even a blade of grass moves without the will of God.